guys, Robert1 here, coming at you with a new Yu-Gi-Oh video, and in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video we are going to be talking about the ban list, and specifically changes that could possibly happen to the ban list to make the game better or worse. And this is just something I've been pondering recently, like just thinking if these changes could actually happen, thinking if the game could go in this sort of direction to make the game a little better or a little worse, what could possibly happen if this change actually happened in the game. And the thing that really made me actually want to come up with this video and really want to talk about this video is Duelings, and specifically Duelings in general, how their ban list system works. And because of that, I've been playing Dueling, and the reason I've been wanting to talk about this is because I've recently been playing Duel Links a lot more. I've been going on there almost every day just for the U-Bell event. I've been playing in ranked duels because I can actually enjoy it. I own a ton of cards in the game, surprisingly. Like, I own every hero card known to man on that damn app. Oh, I need more Blaze Man, please. But I've been looking at this for quite a while now, just pondering and thinking how this change could be implemented into the game, or what would happen in the game if this change actually happened. And the change that I'm actually talking about is the ban list structure of Duel Links being incorporated into Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Now, obviously, if for some of you people who might not know what Duel Links is or have never played Duel Links, the ban list structure is basically this. You have limited and semi-limited cards in Duel Links, just like how you do in the normal Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. But the difference between the two are, if you want to use 2 cards on the semi-limited list, you can only use 1 of each of those 2 cards. You can't play 2-2 of each of those cards, you can only play 1-1, and you can't add more cards over the semi-limited rank. So if you wanted to play, say, 1 Celestial, 1 Enemy Controller, and 1 Amazoness Princess, then you couldn't, because of the system. It automatically stops you from playing more than 2 semi-limited cards. Same with limited cards. If you wanted to play 2 limited cards on their ban list, you can't. You can't play any more than 1 limited card. So I've been thinking, if this was implemented into the TCG, how would this change the game? And I felt like it was something that actually deserved a video, because it's something that's actually really interesting to look at. It's something that's really cool and different for the game. And if this happened, the game would actually hit a drastic change. The game would actually change a lot, because of a lot of the decks we see being played do actually play semi-limited cards, limited cards, all these different kind of cards that just have different ratios and numbers. And I'm just like, if this actually happened, what would happen in general? So I just wanted to talk about this today because it just seems like an interesting topic to talk about, and something that could actually change the game and affect the game in its own way. So without further ado, let's get actually onto this topic, because I want to talk about it. So what would essentially happen if we saw this change implemented into the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG? Well, first of all, if this was implemented into the TCG, we would see a huge difference in the way decks were built. Such as if you wanted to play Raigeki or Dark Hole, you would have to decide, would you prefer to kill your own monsters, or would you prefer to just kill your opponent's monsters? For a deck such as Grados, for instance, and I know it's not a good example, because you're destroying your thing and they have no monsters left, but would you prefer to be able to take your opponent's monster and then get it for yourself, or would you not? For decks like Autogeist as well, another example that I'm giving, you want to play the Solemn package. So you want to play the Judgment, the Warning, and the 2 Strikes. Well, you also want to be playing stuff like Imperial Order in Autogeist. So how do you choose between Judgment, Warning, and Imperial Order? That's another thing that could happen in the game, because you're only allowed to play 1 semi-limited card, which is a big change in the game in general, because you're only able to play that 1 semi-limited card. Now, obviously, we're in a Striker format, so you would most likely want to play the Imperial Order over any of these other cards, but losing the ability to play something like Solemn Judgment would take away your ability to negate your opponent's cards, such as Twin Twister, such as negating summons such as Kagari, Shizuku. There would be a load of changes going into it if something like this actually happened. And that is actually one of the things that is interesting to me, because it would mean that there would be a lot more diversity in the way people may build their decks, going off from the limited and semi-limited section of the ban list, because we would see a huge change from that. we would see so many different cards, so many different alterations to the ban list just because of this. We would see main decks just get, like, honestly, it would also change the way the ban list structure works in a way as well, seeing as if they could do, oh, I'm going to, for Sky Strikers, for instance, well, we're going to semi-limit Sky Striker Engage, and we're going to semi-limit Widow Anchor. What of the two do you want to keep? What two do you want to keep? Do you want to continue playing to Widow Anchor, or do you want to continue playing to Engage? Now, obviously, you're going to choose to Engage in this case because of Engage is the card that allows you to get all these additional advantages and pluses. But you could also go into the route where, oh, no, I want to play one Engage, one Widow Anchor, because you would only be able to play 2 semi-limited cards in your main deck. So it would be a big change to that as well, because a ban list structure would change. Like, we could see 2 Faker, 2 Spoofing in the case of Altergeist, 2 Gazelle, 2 Spinny. Like, we could see a huge change in the way that goes as well. And we could even see a change in the way that the Solemn package is limited. Like, we could see Warning to 2. We could see Judgment to 2. Like, we could see cards on the ban list change increasingly. Like, if this structure was put into the game, I could see cards like Desires, Pot of Extravagance, maybe even Pot of Greed, for instance, going to 2 or 1, because it changes the amount of draw cards you play. It would the structure of the ban list in general would have a huge change just because of the ban list had this alteration to it. Like, we would see the structure of main decks being changed drastically. We would see a ton more diversity of the cards that you take off the ban list and put into your deck. Like, and something else that could be actually incorporated into this is limited free. So unlimited free. So you could see cards. So you could see an additional section to the ban list where these cards that are limited to free, simply put, they would have a free section on them instead of just being at 2 odds free. You could see the game change to the point where you see people playing one of the 3 of. So if Ash Blossom if stuff like it's like if hand traps, like if Thanos and Ash Blossom was limited to 3, which they are currently, but just hear me out, then you could only play 2 Thanos, 1 Ash, or 2 Ash, 1 Thanos. There would be a huge change to the way you look at the game, just because limited free would exist. Like, this is another change that could actually happen to the TCG because of these little changes that could happen to the ban list. And looking at all the like there's tons of things that could happen in the game. We could see huge alterations to the ban list. We could see huge alterations to how people build their decks. We could just see so much change and diversity in the game in general because of this slight change to the ban list, making it so you can only play 2 of one semi-limited card. You could only play 1 of 1 limited card. Like, you can't play a Warning if you want to play Judgment, or you can't play Judgment if you want to play Warning. Like, or you could see huge changes in general, and it's just something that's something that could be actually integrated into the actual TCG as it is in Duel Links, because it's actually a big change that could potentially happen, which is something that I've been looking at, considering, thinking about, and it's something that actually does look like an interesting change to the game. Now, what would happen if this change actually implemented in the players? First of all, I could actually see a lot of players being into this. First of all, because it would give players the diversity needed to, actually have different decks from the ban list. It would change the meta entirely. The game structure would change. We would see a whole new structure to how the game would be played. And it would mean we could see a load of different decks coming in from the past as well, because of these decks can only play such as like one of their really important card, and like and then they have to get rid of all these additional cards that could actually make them better, but could also down them down a bit, so other decks that weren't so for much on their level right now, such as Sky Strikers, you can see maybe Mermails coming back up with just because of the slight change. And it's something that I've been thinking about, considering, just like, what could this change happen? Could it be implemented? But I could also see players being really against it, simply because, this change is implemented in the game. My deck is dead now. You're ruining the game, Konami. Why would you do this? But nonetheless, I could see this happening. It's something that is interesting, different, and honestly would change the game entirely for deck building, structure, how things would be banned, how things would be chosen to be banned and hit. It would be a huge change in the game that I could actually somewhat welcome, because it would be interesting to see the different diversity of decks, how things would be made, how things would change, and it would be an interesting outcome for the game in my personal opinion. But that's just something I've wanted to talk about. I thought this would be an interesting topic to discuss, think about, and it's something that could actually be implemented into the game to change the game for somewhat the better and also somewhat the worse. But guys, that's just my personal opinions, though. Honestly, this change could happen in the TCG. Duelings could be the, the beta to the actual TCG to get this new banlist system rolling. And it's just something interesting that I personally wanted to talk about. But guys, what do you personally think? Do you think this could be implemented into the real Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG? Do you think it would just stay in Duelings? Do you think it would ruin the game? Do you think it would be good for the game? Personally, I feel like it would change the game a lot. I can't really say if it would be good or bad for the game. I kind of feel like it would be good just because it would refresh the game, change the game a lot, and I would like to see what would happen if it actually did. But at the same time, it would also mean the game is no longer running on the same reason it was running before. But guys, tell me what you think of it in the comment section below. I would love to hear your personal thoughts and opinions. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to press the like button to show that you enjoyed it and want to see more videos like this. If you want to be subscribed to my channel to get videos from my channel in your subscription box, don't forget to press the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified of any of these videos and streams that I do 8 PM UK time, don't forget to press the notification button as well. But guys, that's me, Robert1. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Later.